A lot of boxing fans have been speculating, especially UK boxing fans, whether the Kell Brook versus Amir Khan fight is ever going to happen. Now, with Amir Khan, I actually followed his career since he turned professional. If he was born in the UK, there was a massive hype surrounding Amir Khan because obviously at the start of his career, he managed to win a silver medal against Mario Kindelin in the 2004 Athens Olympics, and at the time that was a huge accomplishment, and he deserves a lot of credit for that. I believe he was one of the few people under he was one of the youngest British Olympic medalists ever, and on top of that, he was the only boxer in the team that won a medal, and he also gave a very good fight to the number one pound for pound amateur boxer in the world at that time, which was Mario Kindelin, and he was only 17 years old at the time. This shows you the level of hype that was surrounding Amir Khan at that time was warranted. Obviously, as his career went on, he went through plenty of highs and plenty of lows. Obviously, his first major low point was when he got knocked out by Breedis Prescott in when he was, I think he was 21 at the time. Before that, he got knocked down a few times on his run up, but that fight against Prescott was a huge blow, and he managed to rebuild his career and win. I think like a few world titles. Had a huge fights against the who's who of the welterweight and light welterweight division. He fought Marcus Maidana. He fought Devon Alexander. He fought a Canelo. He fought Terence Crawford. He fought all these great fighters, and he fought Danny Garcia. He fought a lot of good fighters. And at the time, Kell Brook was coming up, and both of them were seen as rivals of each other. And then obviously it seems to have gotten a bit personal between the two of them as their careers have gone on. But my opinion is Amir Khan at this point in his career, he's already secured his legacy, and he obviously accomplished a lot of great things with the fights that he's had. And one thing that stifled his career was the fact that he kept chasing the Mayweather fight or the Pacquiao fight. At the time, he stopped taking fights against other worthy opposition, and he just tried his best to keep himself undefeated and not just take himself out of the loop of fighting credible opposition, so that if he was to get the Mayweather fight, he would definitely get it. It's obviously hypothetically he should have taken a Keith Thurman approach. Keith Thurman at the time wanted to fight against Mayweather, but instead of taking time off and waiting for the Mayweather fight to fall on his lap, Keith Thurman was fighting very good opposition and beating them. He beat Danny Garcia. I believe he beat Sean Porter in their fight, and he managed to pick up two world titles. And then obviously his injury hurt him, and then he came back and he lost to Pacquiao. But before that injury, and I think he lost his killer instinct and his hunger when he came back. Before that, he done the right thing. You should never try building your legacy by waiting for big fights to come. If you look at all the great fighters in history, they didn't have one great fight. They had several. If you look at Muhammad Ali, he didn't just fight Joe Frazier. He fought George Foreman. He fought Ken Norton. He fought a who's who of the heavyweight division at the time, and he beat a lot of good fighters. Joe Frazier um, outlined and like epitomized his career with the Thriller and the Manila fight. But the fights before then, he had a plenty of good fights against other credible opposition that was good enough for his legacy to stay intact. So what Amir Khan should have done at that time, instead of waiting for the Mayweather fight, he should have just kept beating good opposition, and he probably would have got the Mayweather fight if he wasn't so desperate for it. For some reason, the universe works in that type of way. When you want something so badly, the universe almost conveys itself to not let it come to you. But if you just do make the best of what you got, somehow, if you have the mentality that it will come if it's meant to be, if it's not meant to be, it won't come, then more than likely it's going to fall on your lap. And I think he could have got the Mayweather fight if he, for some reason, he was just unlucky he didn't get the Mayweather fight. Obviously, Maidana got the Mayweather fight, and he managed to get two fights against Mayweather, even though Amir Khan was the one that won the poll. But if Amir Khan didn't take them years off his career and just kept focusing on fighting the good fight and just fighting credible opposition, I think he would have fulfilled his potential more. And if the Mayweather fight didn't happen, it doesn't matter because he already built his legacy by fighting other good fighters. So it's just one of them things. At the time when obviously Amir Khan was waiting for the Mayweather fight to fall on his lap, you had Kell Brook, who, for whatever reason, could not materialize a good fight against any of the top welterweights. and then he took the worst decision he could have ever made in his career. He went up to middleweight and fought Golovkin, and ironically, he was following Amir Khan, who done a similar thing when he went up to middleweight to fight Canelo. Instead of fighting each other, they fought two catchweight fights, two fights at middleweight. I don't believe they were catchweight fights. They were fights at middleweight against fighters that outweighed them and were just way too powerful for them. Instead of fighting each other, they fought fighters that were out of their weight class, and both of them suffered for it. Obviously, Kell Brook managed to um, break an eye socket, and Amir Khan got knocked out cold. I almost feel like it's like karma. If they didn't mess around trying to get fights, if they didn't mess around and ducked each other, that probably would not have happened. They could have had a £10 million payday fighting each other, but instead they wanted to go up at middleweight and fight Canelo and fight Golovkin. But obviously, when it came down, it seemed like the fight was gonna happen, but obviously, even though Amir Khan joined Matchroom, he just doesn't want that particular fight to happen. Now, my opinion is this: he's only going to fight Kell Brook if he's got no other options left. He had the fight against Terence Crawford on the line, and he thought, you know what, I'll just take that fight. That's another £5 million payday. After that payday, and obviously he did quit against Terence Crawford, there's still one fight on the table for him that he could potentially get, and that's a fight against Pacquiao. Pacquiao versus Amir Khan in Saudi or in the Emirates or in Dubai or the UAE will be a massive cash out fight for Pacquiao. Pacquiao's coming towards the end of his career. So I think what Amir Khan's trying to do is he's trying to get as much money as he can before his career comes to an end. And if he gets a fight, if he tries taking a fight against Kell Brook and he gets knocked out by Kell Brook, obviously there's a lot of ego attached to it. He won't get the same level of credibility as being the best boxer from Britain. But not only that, he will lose to a rival that he does not want to lose to. And on top of that, if he loses to Kell Brook, that could be the end of his career. But if he was to lose to Pacquiao, the Kell Brook fight is still there. So what Amir Khan's trying to do is trying to get fights against the Pacquiaos of the world. He might try to get another unification fight, maybe get Danny Garcia rematch. And when he's exhausted all of his options and he's got no other place to turn and no one else wants to fight him and he's got no more credibility left in the game, that's when he's going to fight Kell Brook. He's going to fight Kell Brook right at the end of his career. It may be one of his last fights. Because win or lose, not only has he maximised his financial potential by fighting the Pacquiaos of the world before he gets a loss against Kell Brook, win or lose, Kell Brook's going to take that fight. Honest to God, 3 years from now, both of them were out of their prime, and Amir Khan, for whatever reason, retired, and then he came out of retirement and he said, I want to fight Brook. I think Brook will take that fight. So this is the end game for Khan. Khan is only going to fight Brook when he's got no other options left. When there's no other nothing on the table, that's when he's going to fight Brook. But as long as there is other fights on the table, like a Pacquiao fight that could potentially happen, and other fights that could potentially happen, he's never going to fight Brook. And it could be that he loses so disastrously bad against a Pacquiao, or he gets knocked out by a Danny Garcia if they rematch, or anything like that was to happen. If that was to happen and his stock value falls further enough and he's got no hope of beating a Brook, then that fight ain't going to happen. But generally speaking, he would definitely take a Pacquiao fight before he would take a Brook fight. He will not put Brook first before Pacquiao. And in a weird way, Brook should have done the same thing. Instead of chasing an Amir Khan fight, he should focus on his own legacy. And instead of following in his path and fighting Golovkin the way Amir Khan went up to middleweight and fought Canelo, he should have fought Jesse Vargas, had the unification fight. Yes, he would have got the low money for that particular fight. He was only offered 400,000. The only reason why that felt like low money to him was because he was comparing himself to his peers. Obviously, Amir Khan was making like 5 million against Canelo, and Kell Brook, because of his huge ego, had to go up to middleweight to fight Golovkin for that £3 million payday. Obviously, Eddie Hearn shouldn't have presented that option to him because it was such a ridiculous fight. But it's up to Kell Brook for him to say no. He's a grown man. He needs to make his own decision and be responsible for his own decision. So he should have said no to that fight. He should have fought Jesse Vargas. He probably would have beat Jesse Vargas, and he would have had a WBO and IBF world title on the. Let's just say hypothetically, if he was to beat Jesse Vargas, obviously he would have made 400,000 from that particular fight. But if he was to beat Jesse Vargas, then it would have been a huge win on his career, and he would have had the WBO and IBF world title. And I think that Amir Khan fight would have happened at that point. because at that point you hold two world titles. Um, Obviously, you beat Jesse Vargas, who at the time was a very good fighter. The Kell Brook versus Amir Khan fight would have happened because he would have been in a position where he had two world titles. And on top of that, if the Amir Khan fight didn't happen, you could have got another fight against another credible opposition like a Keith Thurman. That would have been an amazing fight. A Kell Brook versus Keith Thurman fight would have been amazing, and it could have been likely that Kell Brook might have been able to beat him, or a Kell Brook versus a Terence Crawford fight back then would actually Terence Crawford didn't go up to welterweight back then, but just the fight against Kell Brook versus I don't know Pacquiao, and there was a slew of other fighters that you could have fought like a Danny Garcia. There would have been many good fights that you could have made if you would have fought Jesse Vargas instead of going up all the way up to middleweight and fight Golovkin and then come back down and fight Errol Spence. But that's my opinion. I think Amir Khan's endgame is to just maximize his financial potential, make as much money as he can. And fighting Kell Brook immediately would not do that, because if he was to lose to Kell Brook, then all these other viable options on the table, like a fight against Pacquiao, would go out the window. So the best way for him to maximize his financial potential is to exhaust every other potential that's on the table. A Pacquiao fight, a Danny Garcia rematch, any other fight that you can have in the UAE or in Saudi Arabia, or any other fight that you can have. And then last but not least, he'll take the Kell Brook fight, because Kell Brook will not refuse that fight if it was presented to him. He's got no other choice but to take that fight if it was presented to him. He'll definitely take it. He'll take the minority share of the money. He will let Amir Khan dictate what gloves get worn. He'll probably take that fight out of catch weight with a dehydration cause. Everything will go in Khan's favour. And obviously Kell Brook will just accept it because he's got no other options to make a big payday before his career settles off. So that's my opinion on this. So tell me what you think below, and obviously like and subscribe to this channel. I've got a lot more content coming your way. Peace out.